Welcome to On the Edge with Deneen Dias. I am thrilled today to be chatting with Jenni from Eide Bailly. Jenni, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jenni Huotari. I'm the partner in charge of our business outsourcing and strategy practice, which is how we've branded our client accounting and advisory services practice. I work for Eide Bailly. I personally office out of Fargo, North Dakota, but our firm is all over the western part of the United States.
So thank you for chatting with me today. We want to talk about, what's going on in the profession. I want to talk about, CAS and how that's evolving for you. I love that your business outsourcing and strategy because I like having that strategy as the S. But before I do, I would love for you to talk more about how long you've been leading this outsource initiative of advisory or client advisory, and then more about, you're a larger firm that's multi-location, multi-office, multi-team. So talking about that structure, like what your team is like, how many people on your team, how many clients you support, so they get a perspective of sort of your volume.
I've been doing this for 5 years, and I'm going to measure it in years and not gray hair and wrinkles, although any of those methods would apply because I do feel like it might age you a little faster than what I was doing before. As far as our practice size, we're like a top 20-ish size firm. Our firm about 350 million. We represent hopefully getting closer to 10% of that, but it's a growing number. A lot of our advisory services are, as well as many other firms. We have team members in all of our offices, so 30 plus offices. The sizes would vary, and our industry concentrations will vary a little between those offices. So we have about 200 team members, and that would include our outsourced payroll team as well as our outsourced accounting team. And so thousands of clients that we serve on currently a varying level. When I came into the role 5 years ago, we started with the accounting services team that we had that was a traditional write-up practice really after the fact. And all of the additions have after been primarily your typical client accounting, cloud-based technology that we're working with, a lot more live information. So a lot of the growth that we've seen in the last 5 years has been in that area, but we've continued to work with the whole full broad spectrum of after the fact and write up clients through our cloud accounting, our client accounting, and more of our advisory clients. So that's where we've seen a lot of growth, but the scope of the work we do is fairly broad.
Yeah, so that's a lot, a team of 200. And are you the only partner, or is there more than one partner heading up your group?
Well, we do have more than a handful of partners now, and a few that came in with a great acquisition in the last just over a year ago. And we're supplemented, I would say, on the oversight and advisory piece by a blend of audit and tax partners that you might see that model be typical in other firms as well. We hope to continue to grow our partnership organically by continuing to evolve our team and our skill sets. What we started with, we didn't necessarily have the structure for a partner track. And in the last 5 years, that's what we've been evolving to continue to evolve and enhance the skill sets and create that partner track for our team members as we become more advisory, as we work more closely with our clients and expand the scope of those relationships.
And I know you have like a boss annual retreat where you pull all your talent together and you talk to them about trends that are happening and how you're embracing technology and how their role is evolving. But, I'd love for you to kind of share in those annual meetings with a team of 200, what's that discussion look like, or what are you really telling them, and what's like foremost on your minds with that team?
Well, it's just coming up this month, so it's totally front of mind for me of what we're talking about.
Perfect.
Last year I think it had a stronger theme of the advisory focus, and that's certainly always blended into it because that's one of the things that will differentiate what we do for our clients now and going forward compared to what it was that we tried to do for them in the past. But we bring in some outside speakers, and we're super excited to have Enrico talk to our group on day 2 of this summit and really bring us great perspective of Botkeeper's impact in the industry and where he sees the industry continuing to evolve. We've got other great outside speakers that we're excited to have. We spend a little time talking about what we've been working on the last year and those projects and how we've continued to evolve and enhance the practice. And on our last day, we send off with where we see it growing, like leading with hopefully everyone rowing in the same direction, where the growth is happening, what our goals are, how we get there by working together, what we want from an industry focus and being able to develop great products that serve our clients really well, allow us to do our jobs really effectively, and continue to evolve towards that advisory level of skills and service that we want for our clients. So
That's
that's
great.
coming up the end of the month, and we're excited for all of the content. And really what we want the group to leave with is more confidence in their ability to handle the change that even if we wanted to, we couldn't avoid it. If we
That's right.
tried, it's just part of what's been happening, and really confidence in their own skills and abilities. It can be easy to do the black and white types of things, and back in the write-up world where
Yeah.
we handled all the transactions, we got all the debits, we got all the credits, everything tied out and reconciled, it was really comfortable to know
Yeah.
that you were complete and done and had a finished product. We don't have that same benefit in the advisory space. We
Right.
frankly don't even know if we're right or if things are going to happen like we say they're going to happen. It's intended to be a conversation between us as service providers, our clients who are very familiar with their business and their industry, and really us just taking data to
Yeah.
spark the conversation and talk about the things that are happening, the things we anticipate happening. So it is a little bit more uncomfortable, I feel like, for our teams because it's not so black and white. We might
Yeah.
be wrong or we might not be completely right.
Yeah. This is I want you to expand more because this is interesting how, and I've said, the talent is so used to gathering the data and reporting on the data, and they were comfortable there. And that shift is starting to happen where now data is so powerful. And how can we use all this data that firms have to be able to really talk to the business owner about their business? So I think it's exciting because people come into working with small businesses and they want to talk to the small business, and so that shift is happening. It's like a mindset shift that needs to happen too on, okay, how do we use this data to drive the conversation and not having it to be right? And so how are you helping your talent? And it's not even upskilling them. I think it's not, I don't love that word, right? But how are you making them comfortable with not having to be this is the data, right? Just say this is the trends that we're seeing, this is what I've seen before happen in your vertical, or how I'd love to hear more about how you, not just this annual meeting, but how you get them
Mhm.
comfortable.
Well, we've taken a couple of different approaches. One that's worked well is to pull that group together as a group of peers and just have conversations. Like someone will share information that they may have presented, more visual data, something that we used non-financial reports, but visualization to spark a conversation with the clients. And we'll just say, how did you decide what it is that you wanted to present and how you were going to present it? And then what kind of conversation did it spark? What did your client ask about subsequently? How did the rest of the conversation go? Every conversation is going to be a little bit different, but I think it helps us to be prepared
Hmm.
in that situation, or to say, I'm going to present this. Will you help role play? Some people hate role play, but I think it's very valuable. If I haven't seen that information before, these are the types of things that I would ask or I would want to know more about. And how can we help prepare that proactively and get that in front of clients so we are anticipating what they want to see, or we're drawing out the things that we think are critical and important. And then on the other side of that, with our industries and our niches that we are paying more or investing more time and attention to because they're areas of growth for us and we feel like we have really good industry thought leaders and talent, we're proactively preparing those as a starting point for our teams. Like in a client engagement like this is a really good starting point for that advisory information. These are the metrics that that client should or most likely is going to
Mhm.
care about. Let's get that in front of those clients. Let's put it in this
Start there.
format. Let's have these types of conversations, even to the point where we'll use the technology to say, if the metric is off this way, we need you to talk to the client about this. Or if it's off in the reverse, these are the things that we should be asking or trying to draw out from the client, just so that they feel more prepared. We might not have all of the answers. Maybe we're just sparking enough of the conversation to get one of our other thought leaders or stronger team members involved, but we want to prepare them for success. We want to set them up as much as we can. And we know that with some industry concentration, we're well prepared to do that. We're having similar conversations. We're really investing our time in that industry, reading their thought leadership, talking to their leaders, other similar clients, and we are well positioned then to bring great advice or to spark great conversations.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because traditionally in this accounting space, firms have been very generalist. And so it's hard to be the expert if you're working with, I don't know what a typical bookkeeper works with, if it's 40 different customers and all different. But if you have them focused on one, and I know dental's a big vertical for you, right? Then they're going to hear the same conversations having over and over and over again with the dentist, and they're going to feel more confident that I do know how to advise you. I have seen this before. I
Mhm.
see these trends. And so, having them focus on certain verticals, I'm sure helps them feel more confident that they can truly help advise and move the conversation. And, I think a lot of the businesses come to you for your expertise, and now you can truly say, yeah, we are the expert in this dental space. I've seen this before. I know what to help you do or what to look for.
Mhm.
So is that how you're starting to have your staff of 200? Like, are they starting to focus on certain verticals to help them with those, spark the conversation? I like that word, spark the conversation.
We're trying to centralize some of that, and we're working on building products, or we have products that we're continuing to evolve to serve the clients in those industries and certainly move a lot of our talent towards them. So they do have some concentrations, but one of the challenges in a large firm is that you get opportunities from a variety of different referral partners. A lot of them are internal partners and managers, which you greatly appreciate. I mean, they do a great job to help grow the business, but they work with clients in a variety of industries. As a firm, we serve a lot of different clients. So the opportunities come from a lot of different areas. So a lot of it is knowing our capabilities of what we can do for certain clients while still intentionally trying to grow in another area. And I think part of the success for large firms in a similar situation is being careful of what you say no to as what you say yes to. We have
For
to say
sure.
no to things because, like, I'll tell the team, we can do anything, but we can't do everything, and we have to know that.
Yeah.
And we're so much better when we do know where we're strong and we play to those strengths.
I know how hard that is. It's hard to say no to a partner, saying, no, that's not the right fit client for me. No, that's not the right vertical for us. They don't like that. So how do you,
No.
how do you manage through that? I'd love to hear.
Well, I think, it is hard, especially when you might work for a firm like ours that's got growth goals and
Yeah.
we each have a certain number that we're trying to hit and we're all trying to drive growth. But at the same point, I think we can point to examples of when we weren't careful about where we were trying to grow or what we took on and whether it created a risk or just left a level of disappointment with a client because we weren't able to fulfill what it is that we intended to do. Like,
Mhm.
for me to be advisory, I can do that well in a couple of different industries. I can't do it well for 10 industries. I don't know enough about 10 different industries. I'm not concentrated. I haven't been able to really involve myself and pay attention. At that point, we're giving really generic type advice. We're not really able to go much beyond bookkeeping, and that was never part of, where we wanted to stop. We always wanted to expand beyond bookkeeping. So for us, it's what if our clients are needing more from us, it has to fit within where
Good.
where we're strong, where we've emphasized.
Good. Yeah, I think that's it. You learned a lot from doing the wrong, saying yes to the wrong clients. And from that learning, you can go back to the partner and say, I'm not going to be able to give the best to this type of client. So it's not even saying no, it's kind of saying, this, I won't be the best. I won't be able to do what you expect. My team isn't, that's not where we're focusing. And I would like to just circle back to how are you getting your team, because you said it right, with the different verticals you're kind of creating a special technology for those verticals, which is smart because I think the clients are coming to you for your expertise, and part of that is this, we've selected this technology for this vertical because we're the experts and we know that this is the right tool for you. But how are you getting your team to embrace the technology too? Because that they're, I know that they're, I think they're more open to it in the certainly 5 years ago they weren't, right? So
Mhm.
it's been a journey, but how are you, are you seeing a shift where they're excited, more excited about the technology than ever before? Or are they still feeling a little threatened by all this technology? I'd love to hear, how that's going for you.
Well, I would say overall for us, most people shy away from the change. They would prefer to continue to use what they're comfortable with. We do have a group of really strong people who love to pilot new technology and help us assess its effectiveness, where we should be using it, what type of situations it's best at. Every organization is going to need those people and they're going to need to hang on to them because they're not the common. A lot of
Right.
our team members like to work in things that they're familiar with. And for us, it's just been really critical to get everyone in the right seat on this bus. So for my team members that really like to pilot new technology or are good at it and give good, great feedback and can problem solve and work through those, I can't have them filling their time on our regular ongoing day-to-day work. There are team members who really love that type of work, and we've had to shift work around to let everyone work in the area that they're strongest and that they bring the most value for the firm. So it has been a fairly consistent group of people who will explore the new technology, but
Okay.
then they're the evangelists that bring it back to the group and they're able to express why it is that they like it, what it worked well for, and then they're the people that the rest of the group reaches out to as they take it on and they get more familiar. And they do a great job of training in earning trust. And so then people feel more comfortable. Okay, I tried this one and it went okay and I learned it and someone helped me when I had challenges, so I'll try the next one. So that's been really important for that group to serve the rest of their firm and their role really well.
That's great. Well, and honestly, I forgot that Enrico was talking at your meeting. So that's awesome because he's that visionary. I mean, I learned the most from Enrico. I mean, the way he thinks about data and the way he thinks about AI and, the new things that we're doing here at Botkeeper. So it's really cool that he's going to come in and talk to your group. Um, but so I would love for you to share. I mean, you were definitely an early adopter of Botkeeper, and I think that you have that group that you are always looking for what's new and how can we incorporate new things in and if it's going to work or not. So, I mean, how long have you been using Botkeeper now? Is it 2 years? Before I came.
Yeah, it seems like it. We're probably approaching the 2-year mark from our first pilot. And, for us, I think it's been a really essential part of our growth, just being able to take on new clients, but at the
Mhm.
same time, the growth of our individuals, because a lot of the work that we're using BotKeeper for was low value, time consuming tasks. We needed those team members. A lot of our team has bachelors of accountings, they're CPA eligible. They would be on that partner track, and we'd like them to come in and learn the early steps of these client accounting engagements. We like them to see all facets of it. But once they've learned, we need them to move on and we need them to continue to evaluate or evolve their skill sets, learn the next thing, take on the next challenge. And too often they would get bogged down because someone has to do the day to day or it needs to get done. It's a critical part in the whole process. So being able to use BotKeeper to fill those roles has been essential for us to continue to elevate the talent up the chain and be able to allow them to take on the next challenge, which then they go up the chain and they grab something from someone above them and it works all the way up. So hopefully, people take something from me or, the
Right.
other people I'm working with as well, and everyone benefits from that.
That's great. Well, and so one of the feedback that I've been getting is that I'm not talking about BotKeeper enough. And so this isn't, just about Botkeeper, but it is like, why did you decide to give us a try? And then what have you learned through the last 2 years, aside from, being able to free up your people, which is, I think, such a big problem right now, right? Firms can't say yes to new business because they don't have enough people. But I think what I'm trying to have you share is why, and then has your experience been with, because we do change process, right? So if you can talk about that a little
Mhm.
bit, I'd love for you to share from your perspective.
Well, part of the changing process is good for us. I think one of the challenges of a large firm is too many people have their own processes, and everyone should have a fairly consistent process. Ideally, we're all doing things the same, and that becomes a challenge in a big firm. So, working with a bot keeper or any sort of AI where we need the process to be consistent is certainly a benefit for us. And then as far as the rest of the decision making, I think we hold a lot of weight to what our peers say, and those peers that we trust and we collaborate with often, and we openly share our perspective on technology or consultants or other things impacting the industry. And in turn, when we get that advice or we get that feedback from them, we feel comfortable, we can rely on it. And that was one thing that happened with Botkeeper, where we felt comfortable early on that we needed to get familiar, we needed to do a pilot and give it a try. And then we had some early on success with the AI. And frankly, from our perspective, we were probably once a firm who thought, oh, we could try to build that, or we could
Mm-hmm.
do that ourselves. And there might be some opportunities for some manned bots or some unmanned bots to do certain projects, but it's not in this space, not for us.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, and I think we as a firm felt, we'll get too wrapped up in trying to do that. We're going to lose sight of what it is that we're actually trying to do. I mean, we're actually trying to be advisory to a large group of small and mid-sized businesses. Ultimately, what we want is for them to be successful. So we need to focus on our services. We need to pull the lower value time out of it so that we continue to give value for our fees, but we don't need to be the ones to develop the AI. Like that's
Right.
not going to be the highest and best use of our time. So we're really happy to find a partner who can help us achieve what it is that we're wanting to achieve and really allow us to spend time where it needs to be spent.
That's great. Yeah. And so you said so many things that I could dive into. I think we are hearing that from, a lot of firms are coming to Botkeeper because they're drowning in the day-to-day work and they're not able to help their businesses, or their people are burnt. I mean, that's a big issue right now, is staff is burnt out. So they're saying we need something, right? And we can't grow, and we want to grow. And so they're starting with us, but they're struggling because they don't have a process in place. And we're telling them, we're going to do a playlist per client. We're going to get a process in place. And so they're like, well, it's taking a little bit longer to set up than we thought. And we're like, well, stick with it, because, month one might look different than month two, but month three, the process should be in place. You should be able to, and they don't love the process, but you got to get standardized in order to
Mm-hmm.
grow. So can you talk through how you've pushed past that?
Well, I think we've seen it. Well, we've just said it's going to be a 3-month pilot. So you got to push past it. You got to get through month one. And you see it in other things too that we want to standardize.
Mhm.
Month one, they get so wrapped up and it takes more time. And it does, because you
Yeah,
got to get it into the system. There is some setup time and there's a learning curve to work
yeah,
through a new process that's less familiar than your old one. But once we've done that, we've found that you get that time back.
yeah.
And I mean, we could point to a few other examples of where that's happened. And I think then people can start to trust the system. But I never try to oversell it like
Right.
immediately from day one, you're going to spend so much less time. No, it's going to take some setup. It's going to take you getting familiar with a new process. But after that is when you continue to see steady results.
Yeah. And so is the firm, the talent, liking that they're able to be freed up a bit and to do more? Or are they feeling like, I don't know. I think it depends. You tell me, because you probably have different people on your team that feel differently. So tell me what you're hearing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You get different
Yeah.
perspectives on it. We certainly have team members who want to come to work every day doing what it is they did yesterday. And as soon as you disrupt that, it becomes very uncomfortable for them. But we have to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't continue to just do what you've always done and expect the same results. And our strongest ones are the ones that are appreciative of the time that it has saved them, that they're then able to redirect in other
Right.
areas, or frankly just get more of their life back. But I would guess in all of our teams there are people who don't want to change because what they're doing right now is super comfortable, and if you
Right.
disrupt it, you're going to give them different work or more challenging work, and what they're doing right now is just so comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. But I like what you said. I mean, it's here, it's happening, and it's changing, and you've got to get
Mhm.
ahead of it, and you have to push past it. And this is something Bill Reed said at an Engage. He's like, we're pushing the profession outside their comfort zone, but we're pushing them to a place they're going to love, right? It's
Right.
going to go fighting and screaming to a place that they end up loving. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we used to write all of our transactions on like 14 column paper. We used to calculate depreciation by hand as an industry. We used to do a lot of things that would be deemed terrible right now. We have to be comfortable with the fact or confident with the fact that the evolutions are for the positive. It's all pushing us towards the things that we'd rather do. And I know for me, if I get wrapped up in trying to do the details of transactions, I never step back and look at the financial results and what it means and what I should direct a client's attention to, because I'm always like, did all my debits and my credits get put in the right spot? So it really allows us to free our time to focus on the right things.
I love it. Well, and so we've got 2 minutes left. I'd love to hear your growth. Did you say 10%? Are you 10, is your division 10% of the firm overall?
Not quite 10.
Okay.
Hopefully we're growing, but thankfully a lot of other places are growing too. So we're continuing to try to catch that.
So, from your division alone though, what growth did you have from last year to this year from a revenue type of growth?
We were just short of 20%. So
Perfect.
on a pretty
Yeah.
good size number, and we had a mix of acquisition and organic contributing to that number. And I just looked at our numbers year to date. We're at April 30th year end, and we're on a really strong growth clip so far. Our team has been working really hard in a variety of different ways. The
Congrats.
constant changes in legislation have made us advisory in a lot of different ways, so that's been good.
And what are your growth goals for the year? Just curious for, the
Um,
next year. What are you
right.
telling your team in this team meeting?
In the team meeting, they're going to hear 25%. We're falling short of where we wanted to be for the 5 years from my start to my end, which wraps up our current strategic plan. So we won't get quite where we wanted to be, but we'll have to step back and appreciate where
Yeah,
we've
you're
come.
hard
Because
on yourself. You are leading the charge. You're so hard on yourself. You've had great success. I mean, 20% growth for a firm, I don't know if audit and tax is having 20% growth. So you are leading the charge in a really exciting time in a really exciting space. And I really appreciate you sharing with everybody. You're 5 years further along this journey than a lot. And so I thank you. I just wanted to give a big thank you for your time today. I know you're super busy. With the 1 minute left, Ella, have we had any questions? Does anybody have a quick question for Jenni?
Yes, if anybody has a question, please put it into the question or the chat box. That would be great.
And
None so
while we
far.
give you a second, Jenni, do you want to let everybody know how they can reach you if they want to reach you after this and have any questions?
yeah, email is probably easiest unless you find me out on Twitter, but email Huotari, and again, as phonetically challenged as that looks, Jhuotari at eidebailly.com. And I will try to get back to you. I'd love to connect with peers in the industry. To Deneen's comment before, even 5 years in, you continually learn so much, have a lot to share. Love to commiserate. I mean, we all face a lot of the same battles, have a lot of the same challenges, and probably need to do a better job of celebrating the successes and the small wins along the way.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're at time. It doesn't look like we have any questions. So thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. Take care, guys.